the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, laws of the state of New Jersey. Borough Clerk has prepared a schedule of the meetings of the governing body of the Borough of Kenilworth for the year 2021. The Borough Clerk has posted a true copy of the schedule on the bulletin board located at the front entrance of Borough Hall and has mailed true copies of this schedule to the local source, the Star Ledger, and the Home News Tribune, and is maintaining a copy of the schedule in her office during the year 2021. During the public health emergency caused by coronavirus, the Borough Council will continue to meet on their regularly scheduled meeting dates at 6 p.m. The council meetings will continue to commence as soon as possible after the work session. Accordingly, the notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied in regard to this meeting. Please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Cesari. Here. Councilman David.
Here.
Councilman Finestrella.
Here.
Councilman Ladati.
Here.
Councilman Pence.
Here.
And Councilman Puglisi.
Here.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of June 23rd, 2021?
Motion, David.
Second, Cesari.
All in favor?
Communications were received from the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, Fire Chief Kruger's recommendations for appointment, residents' request to purchase borough property, and the department reports for June were all received.
Is there a motion to accept communications and reports?
Motion.
Second, Pence.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hate to report, but Kenilworth has 2 new cases of COVID-19 that have been reported to the health department in the past 30 days, with 1 new case in the past 7 days. Our COVID cases are currently 1,162 cases. I continue to urge unvaccinated people to follow safety protocols. Police Chief Seuss and our police department held the first ever waffle cone with a cop event on June 29th. Also in attendance was the Union County Bomb Squad, Union County Sheriff Pete Corvelli, and the Office K-9 Devante. Adorable. Over 200 people attended this event. I wish to send a very special thank you to 2 individuals who made this event happen, Police Chief Seuss and Louis DeMondo. Police Chief Seuss continues to inspire and engage our community, demonstrating empathy, humility, innovation, and vision. Louis DeMondo, who tirelessly and continuously serves with a genuine willingness and consistent commitment to the residents of Kenilworth. I'm pleased to share my praise for these 2 men that I admire greatly. Police Chief Seuss has also recently been given the honor, a high honor, of a PBA Gold Card. The association is comprised of civilian and law enforcement members who demonstrated continued support to our local community. Members are dedicated to furthering the ongoing charitable work of the Kenilworth PBA Local 135. Other recipients of a silver card this year were Pete Paris and Dennis Hogue. A silver card is the highest honor a civilian can receive from the PBA. Union, Somerset, and Somerset County Local 3 Police and Firemen's Association will be having a car show on August 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the parking lot across from the VFW on South 21st Street. All proceeds will benefit the Retired Policemen and Firemen's Association of Union County. There will be a DJ, ice cream, trophies, handouts, prizes, and gift certificates. Come out and have a good time with your family. This event is also being sponsored by the Louis DeMondo Civic Association. I have had many residents reach out to me since I was elected mayor regarding the Kenilworth Live newspaper. Many inquiring as to why I do not publish a monthly newsletter as our previous mayor DeLuca did. I would like everyone to know that I have made an attempt to do this. The news publication has made a decision not to print this section any longer. This is the reason why I do not have a letter published monthly, not because there's a lack of desire on my part to communicate with the residents in this forum. Please visit my social media page, Mayor Linda Karlovich, and tap into Kenilworth. Also provides a lot of borough news. I would also like to thank the Union County Commissioners for awarding a grant to support a Rails to Trails feasibility study. This project would not be possible without the support of our Union County Commissioners, and I am grateful for their continued assistance to our borough. This grant is the first step in creating a new, safe bike pedestrian travel opportunity in Union County. In addition to offering recreational opportunities, the transformation of the rail lines into trails will support redevelopment economic efforts in our community. And also, I just wanted to remind everyone about the farmers market. Where's my notes? My farmers market, which is every Friday at the Methodist Church. And I'd also like to wish everyone a safe and happy summer. Thank you. Finance report, Councilman Ladati.
Thank you, Mayor. The 2021 municipal budget increase for the average house assessed at $183,400 is $71.76, which includes the library. As our assessments go up for our homes in Kenilworth, well, the money mandated by the government to fund the library increases. So it's over $500,000 for the library this year. Just to make that point clear of what part of the budget that has. When we first started this out, when we first started the budget out, we were at $431.17 per average household, is $183,400. I'd like to thank Mr. Bloom. I met with him every Wednesday, and the committee met a couple of times to discuss how we could reduce the budget. We reduced it from that $431 to that $76. That's an incredible feat that was done, especially in this, I guess we could still say we're still in the pandemic mode. What we need to do is, again, try to get some revenues in this town. The county taxes, school taxes, municipal taxes come up to a total of $157.41, which is a 1.68 increase for the average house, assessed at $143,400. What we know is that the state allows that 2% increase, and we got below that 2%. And again, I got to thank Mr. Blum for getting us there. And another thing he's done is he streamlined our financial department, our finances. We put the people in place that are doing more work than 10 people. We're going to get down to 5. So I'm very happy for that. Laura had a part of it. Ken had a part of it. And it makes our town much better. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Ladati. Department of Public Works, Councilman David.
Thank you, Mayor. DPW continues to address emergency road repairs, weather permitting. A couple other things. A heavy thunderstorm came through the borough on July 6th. The DPW had emergency tree work at Washington Avenue between 22nd and 23rd Street and a dead end of Passaic Avenue. They also collected down and broken branches throughout the town. Rich's Tree Service performed emergency tree work at Lincoln Drive, North 10th Street, and North 21st Street. And actually, the superintendent had to leave because there was a report of some other kind of tree emergency in town. DPW has done 3 property cleanups as of last week, as requested by Iris Ramos, the code enforcement officer. They were at 621 Kingston Avenue, 108 North Michigan Avenue, and 221 North 8th Street. Cost reports for each property were sent to Ms. Ramos. Superintendent would like to congratulate Kyle Advensky, the DPW employee of the month of June 2021. He would also like to recognize 2 Department of Public Works employees on their service anniversary this month of July. Mr. Manuel Nagle completes 5 years of service, and Joe Santen Joel completes 1 year of service. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Councilman David. Department of Public Safety, Councilwoman Cesari.
Thank you, Mayor. I received Police Chief Fred Seuss's report for the month of June. Kenilworth Police Department responded to 1,255 calls for service and 211 911 calls for the month of June. On June 27th, the Borough fireworks were held with the tremendous crowd and no reported issues or incidents. The Kenilworth Police Department Youth Police Academy was held from June 28th through July 2nd. We had our biggest class ever with 45 recruits spending the week learning various aspects of policing. The recruits also learned marching, drills, spent time every morning doing PT. By all accounts, it was one of the best youth academies Kenilworth Police Department has conducted. Chief Seuss would like to commend Sergeant Scaniello and SRO Officer Brian Picton for the time, effort, and dedication they put into planning and organizing the academy, and also Detectives Kernan and Kaverick and Officer Frashino for their efforts as instructors during this week. And finally, on June 29th, the first annual Ice Cream with the Cop event was held in the municipal parking lot next to headquarters. Over 200 people turned out on a brutally hot day to have ice cream and meet members of the KPD Community Orienting Policing Unit. Thank you to everyone who came by and to everyone who was involved in making the event a success. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cesari. Planning and Zoning, Councilman Finestrella.
Thank you, Mayor. The June construction report is as follows. Building fees were $6,443. Trustee fees, $345. Miscellaneous fees, $3,285. And trailer storage fees, total $600. With a grand total of $10,673. Last week's Planning and Zoning Board meeting, Thursday the 8th, had 3 applications. 2 were approved and 1 was rejected.
Which one was rejected?
There was a request to expand a deck. There was an existing deck that wanted to be expanded. The required setback is 20 feet. They proposed only 13 feet.
Okay, I see our Planning Board Chairman is here. Would you have anything you would like to add for the Planning Board?
Can I come up and speak?
Yes, please, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rich Paserno, 241 Fayette Avenue, Kenilworth, New Jersey. I am not only a resident, but I am the Planning Board Chairman for over 10 years. And I'm happy to say that we're doing a great job. We have
Yes, you
a
are.
great
Thank you.
board. We have a mixed group of Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and we give a fair shake to everyone who comes before us. I was actually going to talk during the public session, so thank you for asking me to come up now. So I did have some things that I needed to share with the mayor and council, and mostly the residents of Kenilworth. I need you to know that around the middle of 2018, our board put together a committee of 5 people, and then we did it with 3 segments of 4 people to create a committee to review the master plan. And we had endless nights of work. It was headed up by Greg David. We voted him as our committee chairman to make sure that every part of the land use element and housing elements were redefined. Because we're in that 10-year threshold, and with the redevelopment study that was going on, we needed to be prepared as part of the board. We weren't asked to do that by mayor and council, whether it be Mr. DeLuca and the council before or the mayor now. We just wanted to be proactive in making sure everything was done right and prepared for what is about to happen. So in 2018, everything was rolling pretty good. 2019, these guys did not stop working. 2020, we got hit with COVID. So everything, as we all know, the brakes went on. But we picked right back up in 2021. So we took that master plan book and we tore it apart. We made sure that we looked at density, overlay zones, everything that would concern every member of this municipality. With that being said, in 2021, around May or June, we took a vote because now we needed to have a planner, Kevin O'Brien, go further with this to redefine the master plan, which means he would have to work endless hours in order to get that together. So from the land use element side to the housing element side, he needs to get on board and get this thing moving as quickly as possible. So the reason why this is so important is because Kenilworth is changing, and it's changing for the better. The council is doing a fantastic job. The planning board is doing an excellent job. May I say so? And I have to say that we are getting phone calls, one after another, about what's about to happen with these 165 units that are going up, or about to go up, or proposed to go up, whatever word or terminology you want to use. And because we are not allowed as board members to discuss cases, we are allowed to clarify misrepresentation. So if someone says to me, I hear that Section 8 houses are going up on the boulevard, I immediately say, no, you are misinformed. I must have gotten 10 phone calls. I get interrupted at dinner because my wife and I eat dinner in Kenilworth 4 out of 7 nights a week, and we're always interrupted by, now I hear it's low-income housing, Section 8. So I define what low-income and Section 8 is, and I tell them what we have here is affordable housing. Affordable housing is very important to this community. If you have 165 units, 25 of those units are going to be set aside for affordable housing. In the United States, affordable housing is a house, rent, or mortgage, plus the utility payments totaling 30% or less of that household's total income, which allows people who are not in that $100,000 and $150,000 bracket able to afford to go to this unit and be part of that community like everyone else. A low income is determined by a family's income less than twice the federal poverty level. In definition, that means poor people. We are not looking at these units for this type of environment. Section 8. Section 8 is federally funded. This is people that are down in their luck, had a job, lost a job, whatever the case may be. Everybody says, oh, alcoholics, drug addicts. Not all the time. Sometimes, yes. But it's for people who are down in their luck and need a helping hand. And thank God those things are in place. This is not what is going on in Kenilworth. I can't stress enough that we need to understand what we're talking about. If anybody in the audience or anybody at home is listening, my telephone number is 908-296-0505. It's out there. Please don't ask the person sitting next to you who knows less than the person sitting next to them. Ask the people who know. Go on the website, take a look at what these things are going to do if you don't react to this immediately. Please don't fall into that funnel of hearsay. I'm also getting phone calls, Mayor, that the builders in town are very disappointed with this because they're going to lose money on their rental property. If anything, they're going to make more because this is not the criteria for them to now be resistant. We don't live here. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be a wonderful thing. So if anybody needs any information, please come and call me. Come and call any one of our board members. We're allowed to talk about this. If you come before me and talk about what Mr. Minestrella just said about a deck that is too big or too, I can't talk about that. But I can tell you about this, and I know why we need it. and I know why it's important. So, with that being said, I needed to share that with you tonight, and I'm going to share it with you every council meeting until they all get it. Because if I sit alongside someone and said, oh, you're going to approve this, I'm not going to approve anything that doesn't work for Kenilworth Borough. Let me finish off by saying, when I first came here to Kenilworth over 25 years ago, I was told I'm not a Kenilworthian. I have 5 children, 8 grandchildren. 2 of my children live in this town. They all have children. Now, my grandchildren are Kenilworthians, but I'm not because they were born here. There's something wrong with that system. I will tell you, I will fight tooth and nail to live in Kenilworth, to support Kenilworth businesses, to support every person that is in this room, but please listen. And with that, I thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to correct one statement there, Rich. You can't say for sure that there will not be any Section 8 residents in that building. You cannot say for sure.
I can.
Okay.
I can't say for sure.
No, because if someone shows up with a Section 8 voucher, you can't say, no, you can't have, they can rent to whomever they want to.
Well-
Whether it be a Section 8,
There are inclusionary components to every one of these facets, Mr. Polisi, and you know that being an attorney. So if a Section 8 person does come to that
Landlord.
unit, right, they have to meet a criteria. So they will be vetted. And this is probably not the place where they're going to be. If you want to fight tooth and nail to say, hey, I'm going to call up 10 Section 8 people to prove me right, this is not where they're going. You know that, Fred. Let me, excuse me, Mr. Polisi. What you have here is affordable housing. It's going to be set aside. First of all, the federal government will not meet that criteria of payment to get into that dwelling. They will be put aside, not put aside, that's a terrible choice of words. They will be put someplace else that the federal government can meet that criteria of payment. This is not that. Please, Mr. Polisi, please tell your people this is affordable housing.
no, there's
Don't tell them
affordable, no,
it's-
there's two different things.
Sure.
So I think many of us are confusing what affordable housing is, which is the set aside. And then you have the Section 8, which is a rental voucher, which you give to your landlord as a part of your rent on an everyday basis. Now, the affordable housing, the Section 8 part of the component, could be in any part of the 165 units. The affordable housing set aside, that's something separate and apart, that's going to be only for those percentage of units that go to very low, and moderate income housing. So the Section 8 voucher is different and apart from Section 8 housing that we see in other cities. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be a Section 8 housing project, but if someone shows up with a Section 8 voucher, you can't set the landlord, the developer, or presumably the developer.
So the parameters, Mr. Polisi, is that the person who is Section 8, male, female, or other, would have to have a portfolio that says, I earn X amount of dollars, this is what's going on, because it's not just about the rent roll, it's about utilities, upkeep, maintenance, it's about all these things all wrapped up into one. So there are areas, and I don't know of any in our town of Section 8, Mayor, I may be wrong, but I don't know of any. Is there, Mr. Polisi, you've been around?
Well, no, there's no Section 8, see, there's Section 8 public housing, which we are in some of the bigger cities. Then there are people who pay with Section 8 vouchers,
Right.
and they could be living in Kenilworth, Cranford, wherever. They qualify for Section 8, so the landlords will accept the Section 8 payment
Right.
as part of the rent. The tenant has the obligation to pay their portion of the rent,
Right.
and then the state or the federal government makes up the remaining portion. So that's separate and distinct. When you say you're just not going to be any Section 8, no one could ever say that for sure.
So you can't, and I agree with what you're saying in context. There's not a building that says, we're going to put all these Section 8s here. You're saying if there's a 3-family home, someone who has a Section 8 voucher can go to that landlord and say, this is a Section 8 voucher, I'm subsidized by the federal government, and I would like to live here. But at the very same time, that landlord may have a criteria, or should have a criteria that says, this is what our rules and regulations are. You need to make $50,000 a year, you need to have a stable job, you need to do all of this and that. And that's what the criteria is set forth on just about every condo, apartment, or anything that is like this and this value. And that's the way it's set up. Now, I know people down in Seaside Heights that have Section 8 housing, but the whole house is Section 8 because the tenant, the landlord, has to meet a criteria. He has to show that his house is acceptable for these people to come in there. This is not that kind of place, Mr. Puglisi.
It can't, well, okay, this is where we disagree. So, I think that if the landlord of this building says, I'm willing to accept Section 8, all right, or, and someone shows up with a Section 8 voucher,
Yeah.
then,
Can we continue?
it's so much, you can't say, as we see here today, that there won't be any Section 8
Well, I can tell
rental.
you this much. If I was pumping $25 million or more into a development, and I would want the development to stand on its own feet, I would not be the landlord that says, I am going to have all these wonderful apartments, and then I am going to try to fill my apartments with Section 8 federal government subsidized people. Not that there's anything wrong with them, Mr. Puglisi, but that's not the way the business runs. It's just not happening. There's other
Regardless,
This is for working class, working people.
Yes, I don't want to confuse my
Thank you.
words with being.
And I never said this, and I don't think anyone ever said this is going to be a Section 8 building. I think that's the misconstruction of what was being said.
It's not. What I'm telling you is, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time here, I'm sorry, but I will tell you that this is what's being said to the planning board chairman, and I need to correct that. That's why I'm here tonight. And I thank you all for the time.
Thank you,
Fred, we
Mr.
can talk.
Pacerno.
Mr. Puglisi, we can take more time, but thank you.
Chairman,
If anybody
thank
has
you.
any questions, you got my number.
I do, I want to ask you right now. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Lawyers hate a guy like you because you insulate the town from any litigation, so. As I understand it, I've had some experience with it, if you applied theoretically for Section 8 housing, you would not be able, now I only got a C in algebra, but my understanding is if you got Section 8 housing, whatever that relatively small number is,
Right.
wouldn't it be a virtual impossibility to make up the difference as to what the rent is going to be, not in the affordable set-aside? Our planner, who's a very impressive guy, talked about that the number is, I think, $85,000 for a family of four. I'm not so sure we don't all qualify for that. But my question to you, sir, is, do you understand it the way I do? If I'm wrong, please correct me. My wife often does. But I'm just suggesting to you that if someone, Joe Jones, was getting a voucher, a Section 8 house, which is not a big deal.
Right.
He would still have to make up a significant portion to make the rent. I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
He's not, and you hit that nail right on the head, and we have been confronted with this in other properties in South Jersey, so you hit the nail on the head, because it's not only the money that's being subsidized, it's the money that's coming out of pocket in order to feed the children, medical thing. This is at another level. So I need to, and I hope you don't get tired of me coming every week, getting this out there, because I hope more and more people start listening and getting to this. Again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, Frank, I just want to,
Thank you.
no, as
We can
well,
take this
Frank, I would
conversation
say
another
that,
time.
I would agree with you at the initial opening of this new building, that no one will qualify for Section 8, and also given the value of the rent. But as buildings get older and the building deteriorates, as any building that gets older, the rent will become less, right? Will be reduced comparative to the other rents in the area. So at that point in time, I'm not looking at 2023 or 2024, as we all should. We should be looking further down the road. Then 30 years from now, 20 years from now, you're looking at a 165-unit project that's not shiny brand new any longer. You're looking at something that's old. So at that point in time, you can reach that point. So So that-
you bring up a good point, but that would fall under the same criteria of every other building that's here in town right now. So, you know, we have a new building going up, it has more longevity than the buildings that are here already. But I wouldn't take up any more time.
Thank you.
I think I love this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation and Fire, Councilman Pence.
Thank you, Mayor. Fire report. As of June, fire department answered 57 calls. The rescue squad answered 55. And out of the calls for the fire department, 5 were for mutual aid responses. The rec report, there's movie night tonight over at the Mario. The next one's on August 11th. And the movies that will be announced on Facebook, which ones they're going to show. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Pence. Health, Education, and Human Services, Councilman Puglisi.
Thank you, Mayor. Two things, well, two departments. First is the Department of Health. I mentioned this before, but we had a blood drive a few months ago at the Kenilworth Veterans Center, and it sold out. There were more people that showed up that actually could give blood, so they rescheduled another one, which is to take place on August 2nd, 2021. And that's going to be at the Senior Center, and that's going to run from 1 to 6. So, and that's run by the redcross.org. If you go on redcross.org, you can schedule an appointment with them, so you'll know, at least you'll get a spot to give blood. As of July 10, 22 out of 37 spots available have been taken. So if you're interested in giving blood, there are 15 spots left. I recommend that you go to redcross.org. And from when I saw, there was all time slots open from 1 to 6 p.m. You actually choose what type of blood you want to give and a type of mechanism. They have a super blood. I don't know how it works. They have plasma only. They have regular. So you get to pick a Chinese menu. You get to pick whatever you want and the timing you want. So if you're looking to give blood, I suggest you go on the redcross.org. It'll tell you all the municipalities where they're giving blood, and just drop down to Kenilworth and schedule an appointment. As for the library, what I do have, and I'll try to be short on this, as of June 28th, the library opened its doors to all patrons and no longer requires appointments. Currently, the library hours are just from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 5, but now they're opening on Thursdays to 8 p.m. Now, if you still want curbside because you're afraid to go out and go inside the building, you can request curbside. You tell them what you want, and they'll bring it to your car. Now, they're still going to be having other events during the course of the summer. They have lap sit from kids all the way up to 2 years of age. They have toddler time, which goes from kids 2 to 3 years of age. There's story time, which goes for kids 3 and up. And all of these programs will be indoors and run through August 12th. Now, every Friday through August 13th, there's going to be kids' crafts. Again, that's for kids ages 4 to 9. But this is going to be outside in the back parking lot area. And you can go on the borough, actually the library website, and you can see the times that they're holding all of these events. There are also some special events that the libraries hold, and one's on July 19th, and that's the Cloverland Petting Zoo, and that'll be at the library. Again, I believe that's going to be inside the library, but it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's a petting zoo. It could be, depending on what type of animals we're bringing. I recall once they had snakes and lizards, and it was done inside. But if it's going to be larger animals, it's going to be done outside. There will also be a special interactive musical program at the library on Tuesday, August 3rd. They will continue to have the adult programs at the library. You can go on the borough, on the library website, and you can see what they're doing. And finally, there's going to be a library summer end celebration, and that's going to be on Monday, August 9th. That you're going to have a musical celebration with DJ Charlie O in the library parking lot, and that'll run from 11 to 2. And it's an interactive event with prizes and raffles. Anyone is invited to stop by. And if you have any more questions regarding any of these events, even the blood drive, just feel free to contact the borough clerk, the Board of Health, or the library. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Puglisi. I'm actually going to add to this report. We have not had a report from the school since last year. I reached out to the school. The Kenilworth Board of Education meetings on June 14th, the 23rd, and July 12th focused on approving curriculum revisions, facility projects, filling personnel vacancies and services required for the upcoming school year. And we have also recommended the appeal of Executive Order 175 to allow the wearing of masks inside our school buildings to be a parent adult choice. Also, the Kenilworth Board of Education is still in negotiations with the Kenilworth Education Association for the collective bargaining agreement, which did expire on June 30th, 2021. They hope for a resolution to this matter soon. All agendas are public and available prior to the meetings and can be found on the district website for easy access. They also stream the meetings live on YouTube, and they can be viewed after the meeting. Thank you. Next, for council consideration is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Mayor, if I may, Chief Seuss requested that item number 4 of the consent agenda be removed and read alone. After the approval of the consent agenda, Chief Seuss will come up and explain why.
Okay. Is there a motion to?
Motion, David.
Okay.
Resolutions 1 to 10, with the exclusion of number 4, are listed on the consent agenda and will be enacted by one motion. All items will be recorded individually in full in the minutes. Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
And Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
Resolution number 4 that is being pulled reads as follows. Whereas Brian Byron was appointed probationary officer by the Kenilworth governing body effective June 3rd, 2020, and whereas this appointment carries a probationary period of 1 year during which the appointee is not considered a permanent employee as provided in NJSA 48:14-147, and whereas pursuant to Chapter 39-5 of the Borough Code, Chief Seuss certifies that Brett Byron has satisfactorily completed the probationary period requirement. Now therefore be it resolved that Police Officer Brett Byron have completed her 1-year probationary period and upon recommendation of Police Chief Seuss be appointed a permanent police officer in the Kenilworth Police Department. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Karlovic, members of council. Normally, this occasion passes with just in the consent agenda, and it's hardly noticed. What I'm trying to do here tonight, I just want to right a wrong because of what we went through last year with COVID. I was here last year when Officer Byron took her oath of office, and she was in the borough clerk's office on the only computer we could find that had a microphone, and most of it was virtual, and took her oath of office. And I'm a firm believer that anytime somebody that takes an oath of office is promoted or any kind of significant milestone in your career, something that should be memorialized, something that should be proud of, something that your family should be a part of. And it bothered me tremendously that her father was sitting out in the car in front of our detective bureau last year and didn't even get to come inside and hear his daughter recite her oath of office or get to see that. And that's something I wanted to write today. So I just want to thank you guys, Mayor. I want to thank you specifically, Mayor and Council, all you guys for your support and your commitment to us. Officer Byron is a tremendous officer. I'm further reinforced today, as I was last year, that this is the right hire. She has an absolute gift when it comes to dealing with people, specifically with our youth and with kids. I have a friend of mine at the gym whose daughter wanted to come up here to the police station, and Officer Byron gave her a tour, a little 5-year-old girl named Cece. And this little girl now, every night she goes home and she tells her father, we're playing good guys and bad guys. And Dad, you're the bad guy, and I'm Officer Byron. And this happens every single night. So she has a gift when it comes to dealing with people. She's an integral member of my community policing unit. And don't let the sweet looks and the killer smile fool you. She's a tremendous police officer. She's got a great nose for police work, and she's already been involved in a couple of very good drug seizures and pursuit in this town. So if we could, I would like to see if I can have her come up here with her father, Vin, who was a captain with the Essex County Prosecutor's Office and just retired again from the Union County Prosecutor's Office, and see if we can get a picture and kind of memorialize this for her.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys
Great.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely. I'd like a motion.
Mayor, you got a minute for a picture?
Oh, I sure do.
Chief, we have to pass the resolution
We're
first.
going to pass it first?
Motion by David.
Second,
Second,
Cesari.
whatever.
Relax, Chief.
Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
And Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
I just,
Resolution passes.
I just want to add that I had the great honor to swear Brett Byron in, and I'm so proud to have you be part of Kenilworth Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone. It's my honor to be a part of the Kenilworth Police Department, and it's my honor to serve the community. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Read them out. Cool. Cool.
There are 4 ordinances this evening. The first one's up for public hearing, 2021-10, an ordinance of the Borough of Kenilworth adopting a new agreement between the member municipalities of the Rollway Valley Sewage Authority.
The purpose of this ordinance is to adopt the revised agreement for the continued establishment and operation of the Rollway Valley Sewage Authority to replace the agreement adopted in 1995 by the then 9 member municipalities of the authority. Is there a motion to open the floor for public discussion on this ordinance only?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second, Cesari.
Okay. Does anyone have anything to say on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Please come forward, state your name and address. Okay, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the floor for public discussion on this ordinance only?
So moved.
Second, Pence.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2021-10 for adoption?
Motion. Second.
Puglisi? Already got it.
Be it hereby resolved that ordinance 2021-10 entitled, an ordinance of the Borough of Kenilworth adopting a new agreement between the member municipalities, the Rollway Valley Sewage Authority, was introduced and approved on first reading at the regular meeting of the Borough Council on June 23rd, 2021, and approved for final passage at the regular meeting of Borough Council of July 14th, 2021, after all persons interested were given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in accordance with law. Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
And Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
The next ordinance I have up is for introduction only, 2021-11, an ordinance of the Borough of Kenilworth amending existing Chapter 75, CATS, establishing Section 16, feral population management within the Borough of Kenilworth.
Okay, this purpose of this ordinance is to establish a program for the managed care of feral cats in the Borough of Kenilworth. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance for introduction?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it hereby resolved that the Borough Ordinance 2021-11 entitled an ordinance of the Borough of Kenilworth amending existing Chapter 75 CATS establishing Section 16 feral population management within the Borough of Kenilworth heretofore introduced is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held August 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as soon as thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the Borough Council, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in accordance with law. Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
And Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
The next ordinance I have up is 2021-12, an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Departmental Structures, and Chapter 48, Traffic Bureau of the Code of the Borough Code.
Okay, the purpose of this ordinance is to amend Chapter 15, Departmental Structures, and Chapter 48, Traffic Bureau, in accordance with the current practices and policies of the Kenilworth Police Department. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance for introduction?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Be it hereby resolved that ordinance 2021-12 entitled Ordinance Amending Chapter 15 Departmental Structures and Chapter 48 Traffic Bureau of the Borough Code, heretofore introduced is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on August 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as soon as thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the Borough Council, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in accordance with law. Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
And Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
The next ordinance I have is the introduction of 2021-13, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limitations and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
Okay. If you spend less than the state permits you to spend, this ordinance allows you to bank the difference for 3 years. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on introduction?
So moved.
Second, Cesari.
Okay. All in favor?
Be it hereby resolved that ordinance 2021-13 entitled An Ordinance to Exceed the Municipal Budget Appropriation Limits and to Establish a Cap Bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.14, heretofore introduced is now passed on first reading, and the said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on August 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as soon as thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the Borough Council, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in accordance with law. Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
And Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
Okay, we have the introduction of the 2021 proposed budget. The public hearing and second reading will be on August 25th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. The municipal budget represents an increase of 2.53% for the average assessed residential home. Is there a motion to approve 2021 proposed municipal budget for introduction?
So moved.
Second, Cesari.
All in favor?
Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2021. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the local source in the August 5th, 2021 issue. The governing body of the Borough of Kenilworth does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2021. The public hearing and second reading will be on August 25th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Councilwoman Cesari?
Yes.
Councilman David?
Yes.
Councilman Finestrella?
Yes.
Councilman Ladati?
Yes.
Councilman Pence?
Yes.
Councilman Puglisi?
Yes.
Okay, I have one proclamation this evening, Independent Retailer Month. Whereas the Borough of Kenilworth values and celebrates our local businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas we recognize the unique blend of locally owned independent businesses as part of Kenilworth's unique culture. And whereas in 2020, local businesses, closures, unemployment, physical distancing, and social isolation necessitated by the COVID-19 outbreak were extremely stressful for many proprietors in Kenilworth. And whereas the state of New Jersey is confidently navigating the road back and businesses are resuming operations, and whereas the Borough of Kenilworth actively supports our local independent businesses as they safely continue full operations, and encourage people to support our local independent businesses. Now therefore, on behalf of the Borough Council, I, Mayor Linda Karlovich, do hereby proclaim July as Independent Retailer Month in the Borough of Kenilworth, and encourage all citizens to support our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our community. In witness hereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the Borough of Kenilworth to be affixed this 14th day of July, 2021. Okay, I'd like to motion to open the floor to the public.
I'll take that motion, Mayor.
I'll second it, Cesari.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, does anyone have anything for the good and welfare of Kenilworth? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Traffic jam.
Lisa Wood, 614 Jefferson Avenue. Good evening, Mayor, members of the governing body.
Good evening.
I have a quick question. It's about the affordable housing. And I fully understand the legal aspects of why we have to have it, where we're in more control. My question is there a possibility of getting less units? Because my concern, living on Jefferson Avenue, I'm on the one-way, and traffic over there for morning rush hour, evening rush hour, you cannot get across Michigan Avenue to get to even the third lane to make the left to get to the boulevard. So has a traffic study been done on the flow of the additional impact that the cars are going to have? Because at 165 units, you're talking possibly 300-plus cars, depending on how many families are in the units.
Well, this was a big conversation, and I'm going to let the borough attorney explain
my pet
this,
subject.
because this was his,
Pet peeve.
Yes.
Number one, you've mixed apples and oranges, so let's separate them. This is not an affordable housing project, this is a redevelopment project. There is a unit in there, a component, for a relatively small number of units. You don't get to negotiate that number is calculated. The problem that the borough has is that we are the tail end of municipalities in Union County. And I don't mean to be repetitive, because this poor governing body's heard it so many times. I do not want to antagonize the assignment judge in terms of what could happen. Some towns have spent, the mayor gets to read these all the time, Englewood Cliffs, Cranford, millions of dollars have been spent. But the specific answer to your question, traffic flow, you're talking to the priest about sin. I totally agree with you. There is a real problem with traffic. One of the components, to the credit of the planning board and mostly to the planner, the developer, if the developer moves ahead with the project, I don't know that that's going to happen. If I could predict the future, at least I'd take it Aqueduct tomorrow. But my sense is that the traffic flow on Michigan Avenue is a pivotal, let me repeat that word, a pivotal issue. I know I'm on the damn street every day. It's a pivotal issue. It's going to be the responsibility of the developer to satisfy the planning board that he has in fact met that issue. That's where we are on that.
well, he'll have to do a traffic study.
Is there anything,
But the number, we don't just pull that number out of the
no, I
hat.
understand that, I just meant as far as, instead of being 165 units
Okay.
to the building.
It was actually
is there-
negotiated down
Yeah, that number
from,
was over 200.
Over 200.
We negotiated it down to 165.
So the answer is no. The answer is no.
For the record,
I think it was 240, 241.
and the mayor was not even mayor then, she was council. This project preceded a lot of us here. This has been a long, arduous haul. All I can tell you is, myself and more importantly, the planner, they are watching assiduously the traffic flow on Michigan Avenue. The mayor lets me do this because this is my special subject.
Right, well, that was my concern is where is that traffic, I mean, because that's in the corner lot of the street there, so is there going to be a separate street out the back somewhere to another part of Michigan or the boulevard? If that's even possible, I don't know.
I don't think that's
It is
possible.
the
It's the
responsibility,
responsibility of the developer to,
thank you, Mayor, you're absolutely right.
yep,
The developer's going to have to put up on
they're going to
that.
have to prove that this will work with and our planning board will review that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Along the same lines, Frank, have you been contacted by any other possible developer at all regarding any other properties in town?
Not me.
I know the mayor hasn't. I got one phone call regarding Merck, and would that site be open? Our planner has assiduously, here's that word again, I don't talk to developers. I don't want to talk to developers. There's no reason to talk to developers. So the answer is no other developer, to my knowledge, and I've only been here 2 years, but to my knowledge, no other developer has come forth with any other plan of significance.
Not that I know.
Not on the, I'm not talking about plans, I'm talking about, phone call, I mean, has there been any informal communications that,
I gotta be, and the mayor yells at me, I'm terrible on names, it's one of my many faults. But one developer called me, I'd say it was a 30-second conversation where I said, look, I don't think Merck is going anywhere. It was more focused on Merck. But I've heard of no other properties and no other developers come to me. I can't speak for the mayor, but I don't know of any other developer who's come forward. And frankly, I don't want their, I don't mean that to sound crude, Fred, I don't want their calls. And I know the planner has indicated to me that this right now is the focus of the borough, the one that's there. Answer your question.
I guess, Mayor, no one's called you either, no other developer? Or you have-
No other developer has called me, no.
Regarding any other property now?
No. Okay, anyone else from the public have anything to say?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll make it short, I know everybody wants to get out of here. My first question is...
Just name and address.
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record, Bob.
Robert Herbert, 14 North 12th Street.
Bob, I just saw this last night in Cranford. They've got a new policy, the clerk doesn't let anyone speak. You remember when you were a kid, what's my line? You have to sign in first with your name and address.
Yeah, that's good. My first question is, I have three things. My first question is, will we be having the 9/11 ceremony again now that COVID has, subsided? A long time ago, we made a commitment that we're never going to forget that. And that's a very important thing. That's a big part of our country. So I'm asking the mayor and council to consider to continue it as long as the numbers don't go up.
Absolutely.
And jeopardize, people's health. Number one. Number two, North 8th Street, I don't know the specific lot number, but it's a vacant lot. We all know it's an ongoing problem with high grass. There's outstanding tickets there. For the last 10 years, we can't find out who the estate people are. We can't get them in court. And we keep wasting DPW's time and energy going over there monthly, 2 months, cut the grass, when there's other things that need to be done. So I'm asking this mayor and council to consider to form a committee and look into the cost about taking this property over. And then if you go forward and do that, we can put it up for sale. You could build on there, and it will bring revenue to the town. As long as I've been here, it's not fair to the property owners on that between Sheridan and Monroe Avenue that all own property. There's a church next door there, and it's not fair when they hold their church ceremonies and the people have to come and fight off the mosquitoes and the gnats and everything else with all the rain we're getting. I think 10 years plus is long enough. And also, I think it'll fit the spot development, when you are trying to do redevelopment in the town. So if you guys end up taking it over, you could do it as a redevelopment project, get some funding if you don't want to sell a lot. So that's another option. So please take it in serious consideration. Enough is enough. It's not fair to any property owner in that area.
Of course. Thank you.
And my last thing, it's a very touchy subject. I've been following it the last couple of weeks. We still have one more chance to stop it, but I need everybody's help to do that. Recently, our legislators and assemblymen passed a bill for sex education in our school system from kindergarten to 8th grade. And all the articles I read was pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting what they want a teacher to teach children, such as gender, sexual acts, sexual desires, on and on and on. I don't want to go into too much detail, but our governor, Phil Murphy, has a chance to decline that bill. So at this moment, for all the parents that have kids in kindergarten, 8th grade, not only in our town, but, Union County, it's time to write a letter to the governor and demand he signs that. As far as I'm concerned, any legislator or assemblyman that signed that bill, some voted against, most voted, of course, in favor of it. I want their resignation because they're an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. School is not there to teach children from kindergarten up to 8th grade sex education. When I went to school, that happened in high school. Okay?
Absolutely.
What they should be teaching in kindergarten, 8th grade is home economics, sewing, math, history, how to make a checkbook, how to save $1, how to be creative. That's what our teachers should be teaching our children between kindergarten and 8th grade.
No, I
Not
agree,
sexual
Bob.
education. It is disgraceful, they're an embarrassment, and every one of them that voted for this bill. I wish enough people would back me. They should hand in their resignation. And again, in case they want to know who I am, I live at 14 North Close.
There you go.
Any one of them, my house, I'd love to talk.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
He said the governor's house, but he didn't give out his phone number like that.
No, you didn't.
Rich Paserno again, 241 Fitzhugh Avenue. I just wanted to address Mr. Puglisi's question to the attorney about was there any other bidders on a redevelopment project either in that location or in other locations? And I'm pretty sure you know that there were. There were in the past 4 years, going maybe even more, going back to Mayor Fidomingo, there were talks about FlexiVan, Merck, Joe Neary's property, where we're talking about now, and Cross Street. We even talked about Cross Street. Not we talked about, there was talk about taking Cross Street under eminent domain at one time while they wanted to take that property, do a senior project or another redevelopment project.
No, there was a couple schools of thought. I think what we wanted to do is do something in conjunction with the Board of Education.
Right.
Maybe a
They wanted
soccer
to do some
field.
housing project there. So there was always some talk about doing something, because this problem didn't just happen during this council's, this mayor and council's administration. This was happening way back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mayors ago, and it's just coming to fruition now. So there was a lot of talk last year. There was actually 4 or 5 bidders on the property that we're talking about now. So that has been going on for a long time. And yes, we are looking for other properties to do the very same thing, but it just has to get underway. I just wanted that for clarification.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yep.
Hi, I'm Jane Dio. I'm the Executive Director of People for Animals. There's actually a group of people here that work on trap, neuter, return in Kenilworth that asked me to come, and we have quite a bit of experience statewide with TNR and helping various municipalities with crafting their ordinances. I wanted to thank you for introducing the ordinance, for considering this method of feral cat control. It does work. And I wanted to offer my help with, whatever you need. If you have questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. If you have constituents that reach out to you, or residents that reach out to you with questions you don't know the answer to, feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to help you.
Thank you very much.
I also, Fran Moore, one of your constituents, asked if we could provide this to the borough clerk to distribute. It's just some information about trap, neuter, return for the council members.
Could I ask one quick, this ordinance passes, who's actually paying for this trapping and the spaying of these cats?
The caretakers would be, along with whatever, grant funding. We're working at the state level to get funding from the state to municipalities to start programs like this, but that's not in place quite yet.
What do you mean caretakers? Nobody's taking care of them?
The people who care for the cats.
After they trap them.
They're in a colony.
A lot of people.
I know for a fact, like where my company is down in Somerset, we have a person that comes, they have a couple cat houses, they feed them, I think they caught them, they were neutered, and they let them, and they're still roaming around like free. But,
Different connotation.
I have a bunch of cats in my backyard, I'm not the caretaker, so who pays?
If you have an issue with it, you would be able to reach out to us. We could help you find someone who would come and do that. There are a number of groups that do it. There are a number of individuals that do it out of their own pockets. They raise their own funds, those kinds of things. We're not, the ordinance doesn't require any contribution from the municipality.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, generally, the neighbors may get together and, pool their money
Because
together.
I do know certain residents just like to have 100 cats in their backyard and keep feeding them, and it's not
Right,
gonna send
well,
them
this ordinance would help get them to take the next step and get those cuts fixed so that they don't keep multiplying and creating a larger and larger problem.
And kudos for all the work that you guys do. You know, I have cats myself, and I think most of us, if not all of us, are pet owners, so, you know, it takes a special kind of person to devote their time to that.
Absolutely.
And that's a two-way street. Is there anything the mayor and council could do to help you guys, you know, reach out? Sure.
I'm happy, I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, absolutely. Thank you for coming, appreciate it. Okay, anyone else?
Get a second. Yeah, John Berry, 417 North 15th Street. I had a general budget numbers question, but before that, just a quick thing. When you were saying that, I assume you meant Kenilworth Business Life isn't taking are you submitting? Have you ever been in Kenilworth Business Life, or are you sending stuff and they're not taking
No,
it?
there was a letter every month that the previous mayor, and I don't know if it happened prior to that because my memory doesn't go that long. Every month they put a letter from the mayor. So when I was elected mayor, I sent a letter to them and they accepted it and then later said that they have decided to go in a different direction with their paper and they no longer wanted to print letters from the mayor. So I just wanted people to know because a lot of people have reached out to me asking me why I don't put a letter there. And I just want people to know that it isn't because I don't desire to do that, it's because the publication themselves have gone in a different direction.
Oh, well, how many letters did you get in, just the one?
I sent one and they received it on time and then told me that they were not going to print it. So it was there before the deadline. So yeah, of course I didn't write another one. What would be the reason they're not going to print it?
Oh, so they did send you a letter saying you're not...
They didn't send me a letter, but I spoke to them, to someone at the paper, and they said they were going in a different direction.
All right, now, the budget question is on mine. When I got my bill, I looked over the back to 14, and the $71 increase is kind of in line. I think I'm estimated a little higher, but if it were 471, that would be like a 20% increase, which is incredible.
Sure.
Mine is 3,500, 471, minus, that's a little higher, it probably would have been $500-600. It's like close to 20%. What accounted, well, two things. What accounted for the rise to 471? What big budget item or something, or, you know, Harbor Consulting, or, and then you went from 471 to 71, so what was cut to get back to 71?
I think our CFO can better answer that question.
Yeah, it was original department's basically wish list request for operating items. We were also trying to get some better reserves established in town for some things that just weren't doable for this budget cycle that had to be reduced.
Within the departments?
What's that?
Nothing major, like pensions or?
Well, pensions, there was like over $200 mandatory increases between pension increases.
Health costs.
You had health increases, you had Robert Valley Sewage Authority went up to $73,000. The PFRS, Police and Fire Retirement System, went up almost $130,000. Regular pension went up $39,000 roughly. So there were several mandatory increases.
So also the big cuts, like what are the three big cuts? Because we're talking about $2 million probably.
The biggest cuts were, well, we had some revenues, we had $200,000 in surplus. We qualified for the American Rescue Plan money. We added that revenue into this budget cycle to help. That was $430,000. And then we had other cuts to all various departments. Everybody was brought back to pretty much level funding from 2020, except for mandatory contracts and increases and things that were already signed off.
And the budget is going to be online.
But well, it'll be online before that. Hopefully by next week it'll be online.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
Fred Seuss, Chief of Police. That's a nice segue into, I just wanted to finish up the meeting, hopefully. I just wanted to take a minute to tell you, I'm not impressed by too much, but I just want to tell you over the last 4.5 months or so, how impressed I've been with our CFO, Ken Bloom. His office is right across from me downstairs, and I can't tell you how hard this guy has worked over the last 4.5 months to get this budget that you've introduced across the finish line tonight. And none of us like to see an increase in taxes. I get it down where I am too. But the best thing I can tell you is that this guy cares, and he treats the taxpayers' money as if it's his own money. You know, and I know you guys know it from working with him, and I just want the taxpayers to know what kind of good hands are in with this guy, and on a professional and a personal level, I really want to commend him for his hard work over the last couple of months.
Thank you very much, Chief, and I agree. Thank you, Ken, and our finance department.
I would just like to add, I don't know if anybody had a chance.
I think we're going to just close the floor to the public, and then we'll, is anyone else from the public have anything to say? Okay, seeing no one, I'd like a motion to close the floor for public discussion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the borough?
Real quick, if anyone had a chance, I'm sure some people that watched the Euro Cup Sunday, I was quite impressed with the Italian soccer team, and I'm biased sometimes. I do it a real good game, and Forza. Let me just say Paul.
I do have one great bit of news to share as well, that the Kenilworth Carnival will be resuming August 16th to the 21st, and I'm super excited and looking forward to that, as I'm sure everyone in the community is. Okay, anyone else? Okay, if there's nothing else to be brought before the council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Good night.